I'm going to miss Stephen Silas. Not for anything that he brought in terms of an NBA head coach.
So you're saying there's no chance because
He'll be back?
Yeah.
Oh, no, he's dead man
No,
walking. You can hear it in his voice.
Look, what he described to you was a great assistant coach, a guy that can teach guys about life, a guy that can, look forward to helping young players understand and work with them on offense and do some things. But your reputation is your entire locker room and your entire organization is a bleep show, and you played a part in that. And a lot of what we've talked about in the past, look, I think he's a great dude. By everybody that I've talked to, he's a really great human being. I think he'll have another job on somebody's staff next year. And I think that he will continue to work in this league, and he will continue to be a valued assistant coach in this league. But he got a deal that he didn't sign up for, and then he didn't do anything with it. And when Rafael Stone, and look, there's a lot more truth. I love how a lot of this stuff is coming out now, and I've been telling you guys this for months and maybe more than a year in some of the cases. But you've got to get out from under your own way where everybody nationally and locally thinks it's a bleep show in that locker room. Like, if we knew even just a fraction of what John Wall was talking about was true, and that Rafael Stone was making these decisions and interrupting practices and telling coaches how to coach and telling them what they can and can't say to some of his young players, any coach that had the experience and the resume of a Stephen Silas should have put his foot down and said, well, then if you didn't, why are you hiring me for this job if you thought you knew how to do all of it and you're interrupting me and doing all the things you're doing, then you do it. But if you hired me to do the job, then let me do my job my way and stop doing this all the time across the board. He didn't put his foot down. He didn't put a stop to it. That's why he's not going to be back in part, because it's running amok, and they've got to right that with whatever pick they get. That's going to be a very valuable pick in this draft.
713-780-ESPN, the HRP listener line, 713-780-3776. Let's go out to the HRP listener line. Lamont, you're in the Hive with the Killer Bees. What's going on, Lamont?
Hey, man, this ain't nothing much. This is a question for both of you guys, but I definitely want to hear what Joel has to say about this, because you two, Jeremy, but just tell me, because what I've been hearing for the last 3 years with Silas is that let's keep in mind that he didn't inherit the team that he was hired for. Okay, with all of that being said, that's true. But I was thinking to myself in the last couple of weeks, if he can't handle these misfits, these little kids, how could you say he would be able to handle a personality like Harden and Westbrook? I mean, in other words, it seems like people try to make excuses for him, and I'm not downing on Silas right now, but that one just doesn't hold water for me, man. If he couldn't handle them little dudes, how was he going to handle Westbrook and Harden? That's all I have, fellas.
Lamont, I'll take it first. The response to that, first and foremost, is the guys that he's worked with throughout his career have been more experienced or veteran or more polished NBA players. And even with a Luka Doncic, when he comes over from Europe, he's more polished, he's more respectful, he understands. He hasn't been coddled to the degree where you have a kid that comes in now that's barely 18, 19 years old, and they're already telling management and everybody, hey, don't yell at my kid, and make sure you coach him this way, and don't do this and don't do that. Well, you're not in high school and or college anymore, and you aren't going to be able to dictate those kind of things anymore. You're in a grown-ass man's league where that stuff isn't going to fly. And he signed up for a veteran-laden roster, yes, but those veterans have been through enough wars to understand this guy's a good offensive mind, and if he constructs the right offense for us and he's the head coach, you respect him. But the young kids don't, because they come in and they've been fed a silver spoon their entire life to get through AAU in high school and college, and now suddenly they expect that that's going to be the same norm that they get when they get to the league. And when you don't give it to them, tough love is not accepted well. And it causes a lot of rift and a lot of problems, and that's just how it all got started for him.
Yeah, I don't think he would have been able to handle Harden and Westbrook, though. They would have ate him up and chewed him up and spit him out. You know what I mean? Like, he wasn't going to control those guys. Like, if he can't control rookies and get the rookies to play hard, James Harden and Russell Westbrook are going to do whatever they want. Now, those guys pretty much do whatever they want anyways, because they have the cachet, they have the clout, et cetera, et cetera. But I don't think that Silas would have necessarily – like, people always say that, It's not what he signed up for, which it wasn't. I mean, he signed up for a Harden, Russell Westbrook Rocket team. All of a sudden, it was a rebuilding team that was very young. So, I understand that the team quickly changed. The landscape of who the Rockets were quickly changed very early in his tenure as a Houston Rocket coach. But I also don't think he gets the best out of James Harden and Russell Westbrook. I still think he would have been a disappointing head coach even with a veteran-laden team.
It's possible. But I think that, James is a guy, if you still continue to pattern the offense around him, he's going to defend you. He's going to listen to you. Sure, there's going to be episodes, but there's episodes with everybody. I think that the fact that you had both those guys on the roster still, Russ was the guy that policed James. Because Russ was the guy that basically said what James pulls and gets away with is not acceptable, and he didn't like it, and that's why James didn't like him anymore. But it goes to the kind of thing about maybe he wasn't set up ever. He's one of these lifer assistant coaches that should never be a head coach because he relies on his assistant coaches to do his dirty work, and that's not how you can. That's how you have not how you have long-term success in this league as a head coach.
Yeah, he doesn't seem to me like he's one that gets the most out of his players. Whether they're young or whether they're veterans. Now, the veterans don't need it pulled out of them as much as young players, so I can see that. But to me, he doesn't I don't know if he can handle a team that had some divas on it. He almost needs the Popovich Spurs where Tim Duncan wanted to be yelled at and Manu Ginobili and Tony Parker wanted to be yelled at. And Silas isn't that guy.
He's not that guy. Yeah,
he's not that guy anyways. But it almost needed to be a team of professionals and veterans that didn't need their coach to basically get them to play.
Well, but also, some of the things that he thinks are success stories end up being a bad look for him when he says, "Oh, that was KPJ or that was Josh Christopher saying to me that we should be doing this and doing it more." And then I finally decided we'll try it, and then it worked, and it was like, man, that worked out really well. Well, as a coach, you're supposed to already put your players in the best possible situations to succeed. And to have success offensively because you're an offensive-minded coach. Last night, he was going back to KPJ, and KPJ said, Christopher's got it rolling. Let him go. Stay with him. I'll stay on the bench, and I'll cheer him on. I mean, as a coach with nothing to play for right now with one of the worst 3 records, why aren't you wanting to see Josh Christopher on the floor anyway, especially if he's having some success, so you can figure out if you didn't waste a first-round pick on him, and he has some talent that you can build with?
Yeah, I bet you he thinks he's coaching for his job.
Maybe.